And share my screen. And let me adjust a few things. And we're going to look at the losing trick count. It's a subject I've covered before, but I want to cover a few more examples of when you can use it. And I will go through the first part of this reasonably fast, because I think a lot of you are familiar with the basic idea of it. So the losing trick count is a method of hand evaluation used when you expect to play in a suit contract. And it's basically another way of evaluating your hand. It's not used in unless you think you're going to be playing in a suit contract. But it's a simple way of evaluating your hand, taking into account your points and distribution all in one go. So the basic idea is that you look at just the top 3 cards in any suit. You treat the ace, king, queen as winners, everything else as a loser, and you count a maximum 3 losers in any one suit. So you don't look beyond the top 3 cards. And so, for example, this hand here I put up there, I've got 1 spade loser, 2 heart losers, 2 diamond losers, and 2 club losers. This is a 7 loser hand. Another example here. Here I've again marked in bold the card that I'm treating as losers, and I've counted 1 spade, 1 heart, 1 diamond, and I count 2 clubs here because they are both unprotected. So a singleton king is counted as a loser, and similarly a queen is counted as a loser there. So you count that as 2 losers. So the way you use the losing trick count is you count your losers. You then try to add in your partner's losers based on what they've bid, and you subtract the total from 18. The result is the level at which you can play in your chosen trump suit. There is another equally good method where you subtract the total from 24, and that is the total number of tricks you expect to make. So it amounts to exactly the same thing. I think this 18 is a little simpler. It's a little less to count. So that's how it works. And different bids have different numbers of expected losers. So a typical opening bid of 1 of a suit typically has 7 losers or less. And this little chart here shows that a minimum hand is probably 7 losers, but as it gets stronger, the number of losers goes down to 6 and then 5. And then the minimum responding hand, say a hand that would raise 1 of a suit to 2 of a suit, has typically 9 losers, typically 6 to 9 points. And then as that gets stronger, that has fewer losers, showing 8 and 7. And this table is very useful for working out the number of losers when you're supporting your partner's suit. So let's have a look at a few examples of this. And this is a hand with 15 points, and playing Acol, 4-card majors with weak no trump. This is too good to open 1 no trump, so you would open 1 spade on this hand. Now, I actually discovered that most of the people who watch my videos actually are not based in the UK, an awful lot of them based in America. And for those people who play what's called standard American with a strong no trump, this hand, they would bid this rather differently. In fact, this hand would be suitable for 1 no trump, showing 15 to 17. And in fact, we'll have a look at how that bidding would go. But playing Acol, you would open this 1 spade. And let's have a look at how your partner would respond. Suppose they've got a good fit for you. Well, this hand has only got 7 points in high cards. But if you count your losers, it actually comes to just 7 losers. You've got 2 spade losers, 2 heart losers, and 3 diamond losers. So this is a 7 loser hand, even though it's only 7 points. And so you might be thinking what to raise your partner's 1 spade to. But if you follow the losing trick count on this hand, you will jump to 4 spades. You'll treat your hand like a 7 loser hand, like a maximum hand. And I hope you can see that these two hands will actually play together very well, and you're likely to make 4 spades. You'll probably just lose 2 diamonds, and that might well be it. Okay, do interrupt me if you have a question about that, but I hope you're familiar with that.
Tony, I have a question.
Yes, Isabel?
Assuming your partner hasn't opened on a rule of 20.
Well, that's fine. I mean, normally a hand that opens on the rule of 20 that doesn't quite have 12 points will have good distribution. And again, you would expect them to have 7 losers or less. So I mean, that's the idea behind, if you like, opening with on the rule of 20, that your distribution makes up for your lack of points.
Tony,
Yes.
if you're playing Jacoby,
Yes.
your partner might be a bit confused if you go straight to 4 spades. I'll say, why didn't he, if you've got a fit for me and points per game, why didn't he use Jacoby?
Right. Well, yeah, that's a good question. So I will cover that at the end, but the answer is that a direct raise of 1 of a suit to game is typically a hand that meets the number of tricks in terms of losers, but it's relatively weak in terms of points. So
Okay.
this hand fits the bill here. If you were stronger, you know, had more like 12 plus points, let's say, and also 7 losers, then it's desirable not to jump straight to 4 spades, to find some other bid, such as Jacoby, or if you don't play that, just maybe to bid another suit and see what develops. So the 1 spade, 4 spade bid is a weak bid, and it's sometimes referred to as a preemptive game raise.
Can I ask a question, Tony?
Yes, Morris.
The 1 spade opener could be anything between about 12 and 19 points.
Correct.
The East hand has got a splinter offer there, hasn't it? Could bid 4 clubs.
East is too weak, in my opinion, to splinter. East has only got 7 points.
Yeah, but the distribution of it is there's 3 suits and a void.
Yeah, and the distribution is excellent, and the spade fit is excellent, but a splinter bid should be, you know, closer to minimum of 10 points in high card. So I would say it's a little weak for that.
Yeah.
I think this is ideal for a jump to 4 spades. Shows a relatively weak hand. I mean, when you learn bridge, you learn that, you know, a jump to 4 spades could be, you know, 12, 13 points, but that's not what most people play. Most people play that a jump to game is a relatively weak bid. And it's rare that West would go on there because their partner is probably quite weak. In fact, the West hand is actually 7 losers itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so they would pass anyway.
Tony,
Yeah.
how do you evaluate the spade suit regarding losers? I mean, in the responder's hand.
Well, they've got two spade losers. They've got their losers in the East hand are 2 spades, 2 hearts, and 3 diamonds. Is that what you wanted to ask? You only look at
That there's such an amazing spade fit. Would you count any losers?
Well, using the losing trick count, there are 2 spade losers. Of course, your partner's got those missing honors, so there are no spade losers in fact. But when you're evaluating your hand, you would treat that as a 7 loser hand, strong enough to go to game. By the way, one thing I'll say is when we're talking here about using the losing trick count, we're talking about using it as a method of hand evaluation. And it's slightly different to the way you count losers when you're declarer. We're used to counting losers once you see dummy. You look at, you know, as I've just been saying, we look at the 2 hands together and we decide how many losers we might have in each suit. And that's similar, but a different calculation because you're looking at 2 hands there, whereas here you're just using it, looking at your own hand in order to decide what to bid. Let's have a look at this one. Here you've got 17 high card points, and it's normal to open 1 heart there. And your partner here is relatively weak, only 4 points in high cards. But if you use the losing trick count on here, you realize you have a fit here, and you actually realize that you have 9 losers. You've got 2 spades, we'll count 3 hearts, 3 diamonds, and 1 club. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is a 9 loser hand, but that's just about good enough to raise your partner's 1 heart to 2 hearts. So 2 hearts is what you'd bid there. I think even if you weren't using the losing trick count, I would expect to bid 2 hearts anyway, because you've got that singleton, which is worth something, and you've got a heart fit. But then having bid 2 hearts, it then goes back to your partner, and your partner now can reevaluate their hand, 17 points, but take into account their losers. So how many losers does West have here? They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 losers. So in terms of this chart here, they're actually off the scale. They're actually better than a maximum hand. They've only got 4 losers here. Their partner is showing 9 losers, so you want to be in game. I mean, you add your 4 losers to your partner's 9 losers, and then take that away from 18, and that comes to 5. So obviously, there's no point bidding 5 here. You would just bid 4. And I hope you can see 4 hearts has pretty good prospects here. You expect to lose perhaps a heart, depending on how they break, perhaps not a heart, but you've got a diamond and a club to lose. So that should be a good contract for you there, even though, you know, if you look at your high cards, they're not that great. You've got 17 here and 4 there, but nonetheless, 4 hearts should be a great contract. Let's try another one. Here you've got 13 points and you open 1 heart. And on this hand, your partner doesn't have a fit for you, so they just make the normal bid they would make. They've got 10 points, and they've got 4 spades and 4 diamonds, so they should bid 1 spade. All that shows is 6 points or more. However, it now goes back to West, and West, having found a fit with their partner in spades, can now switch to the losing trick count. And how many losers does West have here? They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they've got 6 losers. So in terms of this chart here, they're better than a minimum. They are a medium hand. If they were a dead minimum with 7 losers, they could support them by bidding 2 spades. But with 1 fewer loser, they can bid 1 more. So they could bid, they've got just 6 losers, and they should bid 3 spades with this hand. Then their partner knows they're showing a hand with 6 losers, and East can now count how many losers they've got, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So their partner has shown 6 losers, they've got 8 losers, so that should be enough to bid 4 spades. And again, I hope you can see 4 spades has good prospects on this hand. We're probably going to lose, well, it depends which hand you look at from. If I look at it from the East hand, we've got a spade to lose, and we've got some club losers, but maybe we can rough those. So we should be able to lose a spade, a club, and perhaps one other trick somewhere, but we should be okay in 4 spades. Do interrupt me if you have any comments on that one. And I just want to talk about the slight refinement that is normally made with a losing trick count. And that's basically, you will realize that queens are not as good as kings, which are not as good as aces. And in particular, if you have just one honor and it's the queen, it's normal to treat that as a further half loser. And also to downgrade hands that have got more queens than aces. in them, or that are lacking in aces. So that the way that works is if you have something like Queen 7, 6, 5, that would normally be 2 losers, but because it's the Queen, without another honor there, you treat it as a further half loser, and this becomes a 2.5 loser holding. But if you've got another honor like the ace, the king, or the jack, you just treat this as 2 losers. So Queen Jack 6 is 2 losers. Okay, so you make that adjustment, and let's try and put that into practice here. West here, you've got 12 points, you open 1 spade, and East can support you. But before East supports you, they might try counting their losers, and I'd like you to try and count how many losers you think East has, taking into account the refinement I've just mentioned. So have a look at the East hand. Okay, let's have a look at the results. And most of you have gone for 7.5, but there are choices for 6.5, 7, and 8. So let's switch back and see what we think. So let's count our losers. We've got 1 club loser. We're going to count 2 diamond losers, because we've got the Queen and the Jack, 2 heart losers, and without the adjustment, we would just count 2 spade losers. But because it's a Queen on its own, we'll count that as an additional half loser. So it comes to 7.5. Yes, most of you are right. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and another half. And this hand is also not very good because it's got queens rather than aces. It's got no aces and kings at all. So we're going to further downgrade this hand. So you may well think, what should you bid with 7.5 losers? Well, we'll downgrade it a bit further because it's lacking in aces, and we'll treat it like an 8 loser hand and just bid 3 spades. Okay, so we'll treat it like an 8 loser hand and bid 3 spades. Then it comes back to your partner, and we'll count how many losers they've got. So how many losers does West have? There isn't a poll on this, so let's just work it out. And it looks like we're going to treat this as 2 spade losers, 1 heart loser, 1 diamond loser, and 2.5 club losers. We're going to downgrade that Queen because there's no other honor there. And so we're going to treat that as 6.5 losers. But this is also a hand devoid of aces. So we're going to downgrade it even further and treat it like a minimum hand with 7 losers. And if you do that, you will pass. The bidding will go 1 spade, 3 spades, pass. And you can see that you definitely don't want to be in game here because you're missing 4 aces. So you're always going to lose 4 tricks here, presumably. That's example of that refinement, which most people who use the losing trick count do make, downgrading their hand if you've got queens, and also treating certain holdings with just a queen as a further half a loser. So what I wanted to do as well is look at some additional bids and look at how many losers they typically have. And this is a chart of typical losers that hands have based on their opening bid. Now, it makes sense to do this because you see, for example, I've got 1 no trump as which is 12 as a weak 1 no trump. 12 to 14 is usually 8, sometimes 7. The 1 no trump bidder doesn't bid, counting their losers. But if their partner is going to end up in a suit contract, then they should assume that their partner, who's opened a weak no trump, usually has 8 losers. In other words, 1 worse than a typical 1 of a suit bid. And I just wanted actually to refer you to the handouts here if you go to my website here and click on handouts, there's a link there to under bidding to losing trick count and this table of expected losers. So you can go there and print out a copy if you like, or study that. So yeah, basically, I mean, the important ones I would say to think about are that the weak one no trump is 12 to 14 is usually 8 losers. Those of you who play a strong no trump, which is typically 15 to 17, that's typically 1 loser less, normally a 7 loser hand. And also preempts and weak twos are normally have this number of losers. So a sound preempt, which you might make vulnerable, might be 6 losers. A less sound preempt, which you might make non-vulnerable, might be 7 losers. And then similar numbers for weak twos, but with 1 more loser. So a weak 2, if it's a dead minimum, will probably be 8 losers. But if it is more than a minimum, and in particular if it has a feature like a side ace or king, then it's normally 7 losers. So you can look at this hand, look at this table. It's not infallible by any means, but the way to use a losing trick count is as an adjunct to thinking what you would normally bid. So if you're not sure what to bid, it can often be a good guide to steer you one direction or another. So let's have a look at a few hands here, and let's imagine you're playing a weak no trump, as most of you do, and your partner's opened 1 no trump showing 12 to 14, and you've got this hand here and you're maybe thinking about what to bid with this hand. You've only got 10 points, but you do have a very nice 6-card major. So you might be thinking, shall I try to sign off in 2 hearts? Shall I try to invite game? Or shall I bid 4 hearts on this hand? Well, if you use the losing trick count, you will see that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So although this is only 10 points, it's only 6 losers. So even if your partner has the expected 8 losers, you should probably be in 4 hearts on this hand. So there's a lot to be said for bidding 4 hearts here, or if you wish, you can transfer by bidding 2 diamonds. Your partner will bid 2 hearts, and then you can bid 4 hearts, or if you weren't quite sure, you could invite game in that situation by bidding 3 hearts. And this is a typical hand your partner may have, and I hope you can see that 4 hearts should be a good contract here, because we hope we'll just lose 1 spade, 1 diamond, and 1 club. So 4 hearts is something that the losing trick count would encourage you to bid there based on your losers. By the way, with this hand, which is only 10 points, there's something to be said if your partner opens 1 no trump for you to jump directly to 4 hearts. The problem with bidding transfers here is if you bid 2 diamonds, it gives the opportunity for South to come in and bid spades, perhaps. And then you might get in a competitive auction, which might be more awkward. So with a weak hand here, because you've only got 10 points, and in fact, the 2 hands together have only got 22 points, it has a sort of slight preemptive value to ignore the fact that you normally play transfers and just jump to 4 hearts. Your partner will understand, that you've jumped to 4 hearts either because you've forgotten you're playing transfers, or you have a hand like this where there's some merit in jumping to 4 hearts rather than letting the opponents start bidding their spades. Do interrupt me if you've got a question on that. I just wanted to go back to this hand here. This is for the benefit of people playing strong no trump. This was a hand where if you're playing Acol, you would open 1 spade. Well, if you're playing strong no trump, you would open 1 no trump on this hand. This shows a balanced hand with 15 to 17. And if we put up the hand we had before, you will see that, as before, the East hand here has just got 7 losers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they will want to be playing in game here. You could just go straight to 4 spades, although you might decide to try Stayman first. And the benefit of that is you might find a heart fit, a 4-4 heart fit, and that might score better than say playing in a spade fit. But here your partner bids spades, so you end up in 4 spades.
Can I come in here, Tony?
Yes, Morris.
If you swap the West major hands round, so you got 4 hearts and 3 spades,
Yeah.
still the same number of points. It still pays to open a no trump in the strong no trump.
Yes, that's right. I mean, a strong no trump is any balanced hand with 15 to 17. Yes.
Yeah, it stops the opponents coming in with a spade call.
Yes. Well, it can do. I mean, I'm not going to debate the merits of strong no trump or weak no trump, but
Okay.
just for the benefit of those people who do play strong no trump, that's how you would probably bid this
Yeah,
hand.
thank you.
Let's have a look at week 2. So week 2 is a very useful bid. As we know, it typically shows 6 to 10 points and normally has 7 or 8 losers. So a strong, a sort of, well, a minimum hand for a 2-spade bid would be 8 losers. And if it was slightly stronger, it would be 7 losers. So here you've got a hand with 15 points. So you might be thinking about, raising your partner. This is a kind of hand actually that you might want to make an invitational bid, and you've got 7 losers here. You've got to fit in spades because your partner's got a 6-card suit. So you could be thinking in terms of inviting game. Now there are 2 popular conventions for inviting game when your partner opens a week 2. Both involve 2 no trump response. One is requesting a feature. That's perhaps the simpler convention, and it basically says, partner, if you have an ace or a king in a side suit, not the trump suit, you can bid that suit. If you don't, then or you're an absolute minimum for your 2 spades, then you just go back to the trump suit. So playing that, this hand is a good hand to use the 2 no trump feature request. And if your partner bids 3 spades, that shows they don't have a feature or they're a bare minimum, and they're probably 8 losers. And so your 7 losers and their 8 losers is too many losers, 15 losers, and you're probably best to leave them in 3 spades. So your partner may have a hand like this, where, as you can see, they've got a very respectable spade suit, but nothing else outside it. And I hope you can see that you will not make 4 spades here, because you're in danger of losing 2 hearts, a diamond, and a club. But if in response to the 2 no trump feature request, your partner comes back with 3 hearts, let's say, that is showing that they've got an ace or a king in hearts in this case. And now that probably means they only have 7 losers as well. And with your 7 losers, that should be enough for game. So I hope you can see here that you should end up in a pretty good contract of 4 spades, because you're only going to lose 1 heart, 1 diamond, and 1 club at worst, probably. So even though so here you've got 15 points, your partner's got 9 points, I think. But 4 spades should be a pretty good contract. So that's definitely one to try and remember, that the 2 spade bid, a week 2 is typically 8 or 7 losers. And you can do a similar thing with the 3-level preempts. They are generally, again, 7 losers or 6 losers. And that often goes with the vulnerability. Recommended to perhaps have only 6 losers if you're vulnerable, but 7 losers if you're not vulnerable. So this is a hand where if your partner opens 3 hearts, you've got a fit for you. You've got a fit for them in hearts. But although you've got 12 points, you've got 9 losers. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So even if they've got 6 losers, if they're strong, that's still 1 loser too many. So you should probably pass and play that in 3 hearts. And this might be a hand where they would open 3 hearts. It's a very respectable suit for the heart bid, but I don't think you're going to make game because you're going to lose 2 spades, 1 heart, and 1 diamond. You've got 4 tricks you're going to lose there. On the other hand, if your hand was a little bit stronger, perhaps something like this, then you've only got 1 spade loser, 2 heart losers, and 3 diamonds and a club loser. This is now a 7 loser hand, and with a fit in hearts, you would go on to 4 hearts. Even if your partner's got 7 losers, which is what they have here, I hope you can see that 4 hearts should be a good contract. You expect to lose a spade, a heart, and a diamond should probably be it. So those are situations you can use the losing trick count. And I suggest you try them, you know, if you're debating whether to raise your partner to game in situations like this. What I suggest is that you try and use it as a cross check of what you were going to bid anyway, or if you're unsure about what to bid. And you can use it even if your partner doesn't know it. So it will sometimes lead you to make bids they're not expecting, but you can still use it if they've opened and you're supporting them. And as I was talking about earlier, the direct jump to game, for example, 1 heart, 4 hearts, is used for a relatively weak hand with 7 losers but good shape. And if you have a stronger hand, you should find another bid. And I would recommend Jacoby 2 no trump, or Splinters if you play it, or otherwise just bid a new suit and then see what your partner rebids. And then you perhaps will be in a better position to know whether you might be thinking about a slam or not. Be careful about using it when you're supporting your partner's minor suit, because you may be headed for no trump. But it can be used in supporting your partner's minor if that's where you think you're going to end up. And there are 2 very good articles about it. If you're not familiar with it, let me just move that out of the way. They were written by Mr. Bridge. They're no longer on that website, but there's a link to them there. They're on my website. They're articles for you if you're not familiar with this, then those are good articles to get started with. And I'll just end by putting up that table there of the opening bids and what you expect them to show in terms of number of losers. So that ends the talk for today. Did anyone have any questions about it?